If you're new to the channel, then welcome, and if you're returning to the channel, then welcome back. I just want to extend a quick thank you to all of you for tuning in. So, from what I've been reading online and hearing from other people and friends and family, it sounds like a lot of you have gotten the stimulus check of $600 deposited to your account. And that's actually good news. I mean, yeah, $600 is less than the ideal amount, but at the same time, at least it came out pretty quickly. I mean, I was hearing reports of like 2 to 5 days, which means that if there's any future stimulus on the horizon, hopefully they've done this process enough times at this point to have really ironed it out and will make it so that any type of future stimulus can come out quickly. But when it comes to the question of what you should be doing with your stimulus check money, there are a lot of different options for many different situations, which brings us to today's video. Alright, so let's just kick things off by saying Happy New Year to everyone. We've been blessed at the beginning of the 2021 year by the government with the $600 stimulus check after like 9 or 10 months of waiting. Sorry, I know I keep harping on that, but it's just funny to me. It's just crazy. $600 after 9 or 10 months of waiting. But anyway, today we are going to talk about what you could possibly do with that money. Now, of course, there's a good chance that many of you, it's been like almost a week at this point, have already spent that $600. And that's okay, because there is still buzz going on about a potential $2,000 stimulus check. And whether it's $600 or $2,000 in stimulus, these kind of tips or advice or potential things you could do with either of those amounts of money will still apply. Also, considering it took like 9 to 10 months for $600, I wouldn't hold my breath too long for the $2,000 stimulus checks, but we do keep hearing people talking about it in the government. And, of course, I'm hopeful that that kind of thing is still on the menu for people who need it. Now, like I mentioned before, everyone is going to be in a bit of a different situation when receiving this money. A lot of us have lost jobs or gotten reduced hours, resulting in making less money over this course of this pandemic. Meanwhile, other people have been able to continue making money, transition to working from home, and still come in under that $75,000 a year threshold to receive a full $600 stimulus check. And then, of course, there's everyone else in between. So in a kind of hierarchy of, needs trickling down to wants and weighing in people's different situations, I'm going to try and give you some advice, or give you some tips rather, on how you might potentially use your stimulus check money. I am going to preface this really quickly with, if you're in a situation where your livelihood is at risk, you're at risk of losing shelter, food, safety, those kinds of things, that's obviously priority number one. And that's not the kind of tips I'm going to be giving in this video, because frankly, $600 is probably not going to be able to help you. So what you should be doing if you're facing a situation like that is looking into many of the other benefits that have been passed in this stimulus bill and seeing if you can take advantage of any of those. But if you're someone who has the basics covered and you have a little bit of cash on reserve and you want something to do with the stimulus money, then consider some of the following. Number one is paying off high interest debt. And I probably said this like 20 times on the channel at this point, but some of the interest rates on credit cards are crazy. And especially with the holidays having come recently, I know a lot of us have put some money, or rather put some spending on our credit cards and racked up a little bit of bills. So if you're somebody who has a good chunk of change lying around on a credit card or your primary credit card, I would say put that $600 towards paying off that credit card. And frankly, I would say pay off anything that's above a 5% interest rate. Now, of course, $600 might not pay off every single piece of debt that you may have racked up, but it will get you moving in the right direction. So again, number one, pay off any high interest rate debt. My number two would be completing your emergency fund. Now, the recommended is that you should have enough emergency fund savings or emergency fund money to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Personally, I've always thought that 8 to 12 months is better if you can afford it. And I realize we're kind of on hard times right now, so some people might be saying having 3 months of reserves would be sufficient. Now, if you don't know what your emergency fund amount should be, that's very simple. You just calculate up what the necessary monthly spending is, meaning, your rent or your mortgage, food costs, transportation costs, your energy, electricity, anything that's a necessity to keep your life moving day to day that you pay monthly. Once you get that amount racked up, multiply it by the target number of months that you want to have for an emergency fund. So at a minimum 3 months, at a good, maximum 12 months. And that is the amount that you should have in your emergency fund. So all in all, I would say aim for at least 3 months of an emergency fund. Although you could make the same argument to say that you should really be saving up for a 8 to 12 month emergency fund, considering that there's still a lot of uncertainty going on in terms of the pandemic and what the economic future of the country is. Now, the third option is just to straight up save the money. And there are a few options for this. My first recommendation would be a high yield savings account. High yield savings accounts are still a solid option that are outcompeting the regular average savings account from, a major bank. And frankly, as long as they keep outcompeting those normal savings accounts, I will consider them as a great option or a great alternative for putting your money into a savings account that's going to earn you more than the standard 0.01 or 0.03%. You might also consider Yotta Savings, which is a savings account that I've talked about in previous videos. You can go through the video history and check that out. I just did an update video last month where I was earning an average of 8% APY, which is insane because even regular high yield savings accounts right now are coming in at like 0.5, 0.6, 0.7%. If you don't know what Yotta Savings is, it's something called a prize linked savings account. So you get a 0.2% interest rate on the savings account, which again is outcompeting a normal major savings account with a major bank. But on top of that, for every $25 that you deposit into your savings account, you get entered into a weekly drawing where you can earn more cash prizes. And that's how I ended up averaging the 8% APY last month. But again, that is, weekly drawings and cash prizes. There's no guarantee that you're going to get that amount. And possibly you could win even more than that. But it's still going to outcompete a regular savings account since it has that 0.2% base interest rate that you get just for depositing money into the account. Now, your third option when it comes to saving the stimulus check is investing it. And I realize that investing and saving are not necessarily synonymous with one another, but if you're doing what I would consider to be safe investments, like putting your money into a Roth IRA or even opening up a regular brokerage account and only investing in index funds or mutual funds that track the S&P 500, then that's probably as close as you can get to making safe investments where you're going to average, I think it's around a 7% return each year after being adjusted for inflation. Now, I don't want to give like hot stock tips on the channel or anything like that because frankly, I don't have them. I don't have any get rich quick schemes. But if you are trying to play it safe, there are plenty of options for you to open up a brokerage account or even a Roth IRA. I don't know how many million other channels on YouTube are talking about Robinhood or Webull or even Charles Schwab. So I would say consider investing some of that money if that's a potential option or something that you've been interested in. And as long as you play it safe, there's a good chance that you're going to make money in the long run because in a lot of ways, that's what investing was designed to do. Now, moving on to your fourth option for what you could do with the stimulus check, you could donate it. And you could be donating it to some organization that you already like. I'm sure there's a lot of different organizations that have popped up during the pandemic that are helping people in need during these tough times for a lot of people. You could even donate it by just helping out someone personally that that might be able to make good use of this money or might need that money. Now, of course, really, you only want to be doing this if you're in a situation where you are really not feeling any negative impacts financially from the pandemic. Which leads us to the final and fifth option that I will talk about today of what you can do with your stimulus check, and that's just to spend it. I mean, after all, it is in the name stimulus check, with the whole idea being use this money to stimulate the economy. Again, really, this should only be an option, at least in my opinion, for people who have felt very little to no impact in terms of their finances from the pandemic over the last year at this point. So maybe there's some shiny new toy that you've had your eye on, or maybe you just want to order like DoorDash and Uber Eats and Postmates for however long $600 will last you. The only recommendation that I would make here is, aim to support small businesses and local businesses, because I think those are the ones who are mostly feeling the impact from the pandemic. So those are my 5 big things that I would do with this money, depending on what type of situation that you're in, and depending what kind of freedom your finances allow you. But of course, at the end of the day, this is your money. which means you can do whatever the hell you want to do with it. And you should, frankly, you should. I mean, I'm just offering some potential things that you could do with it, but spend it how you want to spend it. Whatever makes sense for you. But if you're someone who doesn't know what they want to do with the check yet, or you don't have any plans and you're just kind of trying to figure out what to do, hopefully some of these tips can help you with that. Now, I will try to keep up with some of this $2,000 stimulus check news that's going on, but I probably won't be making many more videos about stimulus stuff. I just really wanted to actually touch on this one because we actually saw money come out. So if a $2,000 stimulus check does come out, or it seems like it's actually going to come to fruition, then we might hear me talk about it on the channel again. Anyway, I know you guys will make the right decision on what you want to do with your money, what you're going to do with your money. With that being said, like the video. It's going to let me know if you want to see more content like this. Subscribe to stay up to date. And if you want to, comment down below with what you're going to do with your stimulus money, or what you may have already done with your stimulus money. I'll see you all next time.